Hello and welcome to Double Barrel Gaming. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and on today's special episode, I will be officially reviewing Gears 5 for the Xbox One X. When you talk about the Xbox platform, there are a few franchises that come to mind. Of course, there's the OG Halo franchise for its sci-fi storytelling and its first-person goodness. You then have the gorgeous Forza Motorsport and Horizon series that has you driving the world's most exclusive cars in the world's most exclusive tracks. Now we're going to talk about the incredible Gears of War franchise that has told the tale of brotherhood, triumph, and loss through the eyes of Marcus Phoenix. When Gears 4 was released on the Xbox One on October 11th of 2016, it was the first Gears title released for the newly formed coalition led by Gears of War veteran Rod Ferguson. Gears 4 was made in 2 years, and according to Ferguson, the team wanted to play it safe, and in doing so, proved to themselves that they could make a good Gears game, though Rod Ferguson admits the driving force for Gears 4 was to show the community that they cared for the long-running franchise and didn't want to change too much without explaining why these changes were being made. Gears 4 currently has an 84 Metacritic score with 99 critic reviews and was widely enjoyed by many of the Xbox gamers as well as the gaming media. The game looked amazing and told a story centered around new characters to the Gears franchise in JD Phoenix, Del, and Kate. Though the Coalition understood that the COG veterans like Marcus, Coltrane, and Baird needed to be involved with the ongoing story being told, they did that with class and precision. Now, the lead up to Gears 5 has been a roller coaster ride to say the least. The game was first shown at E3 2018 when Rod Ferguson himself walked out on the stage to unveil the first look at the game. Needless to say, the crowd went ballistic, and for good reason. The trailer was visually unbelievable and displayed many new elements that would eventually be a turning point for the Gears franchise, making some new and big changes. Fast forward to E3 2019 at the Microsoft briefing, we got our first look at the new 3-player co-op multiplayer mode called Escape. Many of the Gears fans were slightly let down because all we wanted was the actual new gameplay trailer, and unfortunately, they didn't show it. It turns out it was a Rod Ferguson decision not to release the gameplay trailer at E3. He didn't want certain parts of the game spoiled and waited until Gamescom 2019 to show off a nearly 2-minute gameplay trailer that silenced all of the critics. So now on to why exactly you are watching this video. And that, of course, is for my actual Gears 5 impressions and official review. Before I start talking about one of 2019's finest releases, I need to publicly thank Microsoft, Xbox, and the Coalition for supplying Double Barrel Gaming with a review copy of Gears 5 Ultimate. Because the Coalition are master storytellers with the Gears franchise, I thought it was super smart to have a previously on explanation on what took place in Gears of War 4. This was a great opportunity for the player to refamiliarize themselves and get caught up before starting the next epic adventure. The one thing that will immediately jump off the screen when Gears 5 starts on the Xbox One X version is the 4K 60 FPS presentation on display. The buttery smooth look is unreal to watch in motion, and it is by far the best looking Gears game to date, but I can confirm that without a shadow of a doubt, it's the best looking Xbox One game in this entire generation. The single player campaign is set up into 4 acts, and within those acts, there are a total of 15 chapters. On the average, a player familiar with the Gears franchise should power through the entire game in about 15 hours. One of the added things to do in Gears 5 is exploring the environments. Besides the fallen COG soldiers to locate and recover their dog tags, there are tons of other lore-building collectibles to find, read, and archive. This is where the game becomes something different that many of the fans, including myself, have been asking for. They've added a light RPG element in upgrades that you can find for Jack, the door-ripping robot from the original Gears of War trilogy. Yup, he's back, and he has a ton of new tricks up his sleeve that make him an actual team member and not just a robot that opens doors for you. There are components to find that are considered skill points to upgrade Jack's abilities. They come in the 1, 3, and 5 sizes, and it's up to the player to look for them. Some are in plain sight, hidden in wall switch boxes, or found in safes that are considered secrets that Jack can open. Some of Jack's abilities that can be upgraded are vital and will help you out tremendously throughout the game. Jack has a pulse ability that scans the environment for enemies. He has another one called Flash that blinds enemies and leaves them open for attack. When fighting some of the bigger enemies that take off tons of health, you can recover them quickly by using Stim. There's a shield ability that stops all incoming fire and is awesome, and that's only half of them. In past installments, the Gears of War franchise has always been about the co-op experience, and Gears 5 doesn't disappoint at all. In fact, they did something ultra cool and very unexpected. It's now a 3-player co-op experience. Most of the game is played through Kate, who's the main protagonist, and by her side for most of the adventure is Del. The third co-op buddy is none other than Jack, your trusty mechanical BFF with powers. This new and very different way for players to interact with the swarm enemies, allowing for some memorable 3-player co-op that can only be found in Gears 5. Now, what sets Gears 5 apart from all of the other titles is the ability to explore the world around you in a semi-open world that allows for side missions within the act you are playing. By completing many of the side quests, you are rewarded with upgrade parts for Jack, but there's also legacy weapons to find within the big open world. The gamers looking for the next big secret are handsomely rewarded with weapons that can only be found by the curious looking to extend the gameplay in Gears 5. Some of the really good legacy weapons, for example, is the Boom Shot, which holds 15 rounds rather than the standard 6. And then you have the Long Shot, a fan favorite, that loads 2 rounds instead of 1. And well, the rest I'll leave for you to discover. The environments in all 4 acts are vastly different in every way. You open up the game descending in a grown-over destroyed cog base in the jungles of Serra. From there, you move on to an occupied cog city, which is bustling with life. At the start of Act 2, you get a chance to don your winter gear, and from there, you have the opportunity to explore the blood-red desert sands in Act 3. And of course, in Act 4, the Coalition brings the series back around to the worn, torn, and broken city streets, paying homage to the original Gears of War. One of the biggest complaints in Gears 4 was the DBs and how often in the first half of the game you encountered them. I understand that they were used for some complex storytelling, but to be fair, they were a bit bothersome. In Gears 5, the use of DBs are done in a way that never made them feel like an annoyance. Because this is a spoiler-free video, I will not talk about the DB encounters later on in the campaign. The Swarm is very different from what you experienced in Gears 4. The variance in the enemy types is always changing and keeps the player engaged. It's very rare that you will encounter the same enemy one after another. Now on to one of the big changes on how you get around the open world in Gears, and that is, of course, the use of the skiff. This wind-powered vehicle allows the player to really explore in a way that has been absent from previous Gears titles. In Gears 1, 2, and 3, you could go down an alleyway to find the next set of cog tags. But in Gears 5, well, the world is there for you to spend hours in an area before moving on to the next act. And don't worry about accidentally leaving the area before you find everything. You'll be prompted to hit yes or no before proceeding to the end of your current act. The skiff itself has no weapons, but there are 2 holding areas that are used for legacy weapons or or big guns like the tri-shot or missile launcher you get after finishing off some of the big bads of the swarm. The skiff is light, agile, and very useful for finding downed condors that house upgrade components, collectibles, and other legacy weapons. One of the key things that stand out in Gears 5 is its top-notch visuals that are running at 4K 60 FPS. What the wizards at the Coalition have been able to accomplish on the Xbox One X is truly breathtaking. I've seen some say that it might be the best looking game this entire generation, and I would be hard pressed to argue that point. With great graphics comes unbelievable sound, and this is another area where Gears 5 really takes advantage of the technology being used to power this game. If you want to hear every gunshot, every growl, or every cry for help in the distance, I highly recommend using a good pair of gaming headphones simply because they take full advantage of Dolby Atmos. Now we're going to talk about gameplay, and besides snapping to cover and having big firefights that you've come to expect in the Gears franchise, you have several options on how to take on an area. When you approach an area, you can in fact use stealth. Yes, you can stealth kill an entire mission area with the help of Jack, who has a cloaking ability that you find later on in the game. This only works if you're patient, but I will say is very invigorating to take out everyone without a shot being fired. The story being told is an emotional one. In fact, I dare say it's the best written story in the entire series. Now, I know that Gears 2 is still heralded as one of the best in the series, but I would argue that Gears 5 opens strong, hits its stride in Act 2, and never lets go. The ending is on the level of a gut punch and a victory shrouded in loss. It's the most hard hit I've been emotionally in a very long time, and player choice will be a big part of what ending you get. When the credits are finally rolling, it clearly sets up Gears 6 in a big way, and I for one cannot wait to see how this trilogy ends. Now, before I talk about the score, this review is being based on the single-player campaign, but I wanted to discuss the multiplayer aspect of Gears 5. There is a lot to come back for if you enjoy multiplayer or co-op for that matter. I, for one, usually played through the campaign multiple times and only dabbled in the online portion. For Gears 5, I will be changing that. The Coalition has outdone themselves this time around in every way. Besides the standard PvP ranked and quick play, they have the fan favorite Horde mode, and it has been upgraded. They have added a co-op escape mode, a fun arcade mode for beginners, and even added hero guest characters like Sarah Connor and the new Terminator, not to mention 2 members of Noble Team from Halo Reach. This approach could only be found in games like Mortal Kombat 11, and is awesome to see the Coalition think outside of the box for its very popular Gears Online community. Now on to the BoomStick score that everyone has been waiting for, or at least I hope you've made it to the end of this very long video. When reviewing a game, I take it very serious, and I judge everything: sound, gameplay, control, storytelling, ease of accessibility, world and lore building, and of course, the most important thing, the fun factor. I'm happy to report that Gears 5 has all that and a bag of chips. Not only is it my favorite Gears in the entire franchise, it's the most polished and graphically intense game in the series. The story is second to none, and the emotions that stay with you after the credits roll are a testament to how incredible the team is at the Coalition. I've been so enthralled with the game, I immediately started my second playthrough in hopes of finding all of the collectibles and the upgrades to Jack. In closing of today's very long video, I'm excited and proud to give Gears 5 from the Coalition an outstanding 9.5 out of 10. It's a modern day masterpiece and a title that everyone should take the time to experience. Thanks again for tuning in to another special episode of Double Barrel Gaming. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, share this on social media, and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again for watching. Have an awesome day.